We're going to talk about one specific thing. One thing. Big fish in big tanks. How do you do big fish in big tanks? Well, the common wisdom is you fill up a tank with water, put a little bit of gravel or something on the bottom, and throw some big fish in it. And then every week you clean the gravel, scrape the windows, pull out half of the water and replace it. And you feed them every day heavily because you love to watch them eat. So what you're creating is it's a form of gluttony based on substantially overfeeding. The whole technique is based on overfeeding because frankly, all you got is watching them eat. I'm going to give you an option to that, and more than one option. I'm going to suggest that it is possible. Not only possible, it is profitable. Not only profitable, it is preferable to provide an environment for big fish where they can be happy doing something more than eating and running the risk of their tank fouling and of them getting sick and dying. So here's what you do. Well, hello. Come right on in. You're at Father Fish. Let's say we've got a 125-gallon tank and we want to keep Oscars. Great little fish, like puppy dogs, Oscars. They come in all kinds of colors. They're aggressive, they're dominant. They're like a puppy dog. They act just like it. They're friendly little buggers until they're not. Okay, so let's start with small Oscars, not big ones. Maybe 2 to 3 inch Oscars. Start with a bunch of little ones. We got a 125-gallon tank. What are we gonna do with it? Well, we're gonna start by putting 2 inches of dirt. Now, when I say dirt, I don't mean any old thing. To get more information about how to do the substrate, I have dozens of videos and an entire Discord server dedicated to explaining and training and teaching this very thing. So get more information if you're going to try to do this. 2 inches of dirt, 6 inches of sand. Now that gives you an 8-inch substrate. That's pretty deep. But your tank is 24 to 30 inches. So you've still got a solid 18 inches to 2 foot to enjoy watching your fish in. The next thing you're going to do is find 1 or more really nice large pieces of driftwood. Big pieces. You want something substantial and preferably of a log type, not sticks. Something that they can get into, hide behind, perhaps root out under, something substantial. That'll be half of the hardscape. The other half is really critical. The other half is 1 or more flat stones, at least 6 inches in diameter. Now, what's that for? Well, it turns out that when Oscars are ready to breed, they're looking for a hard, flat surface, horizontal to the bottom. And they'll dig down till they find it, till they hit the glass. But if you put it right on the top, they won't dig at all. They'll just go right to it, start cleaning it, and get it ready to accept their eggs. The next step is plants. I'm going to suggest 2 kinds of plants. One is Amazon sword plants, not little ones, big ones. Get some large Amazon sword, the biggest you can get. I sell mother Amazon swords at father.fish. They're 2 foot tall. They're huge plants. The other plant is Sagittarius. Now, the Sagittarius that I sell gets about 5 foot long. It has massive roots, as does the Amazon sword. So you plant both of them deep, not down to the dirt, but you put them 2 to 3 inches into the sand, deep. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, at least half a dozen sag, 3 to 4 Amazon swords, or more. More is better. The more you put in, the better it's going to work. Now, if you will also begin to build a food web, note, description of food web is available through videos as well as, again, through our Discord server. We have substantial conversations, training tools, and the like on how to create a food web. It's really critical, especially if you want to have those eggs hatch and babies be able to feed in the tank with the adults. Doesn't get better than that. So that's the setup for some Oscars or virtually any other Central American cichlid. Now, some Central Americans, you can't even keep a pair together. They're so aggressive. So there's some modifications that may need to occur. Let's move over to the other side of the earth, to Africa, and to the so-called African cichlid. Well, the African cichlid is not the African cichlid. When people talk about African cichlids, what they're talking about is the cichlids that live in the Rift Lakes, notably in Lake Malawi and Lake Victoria. Those are the ones that are the most collectible, the most available, most commonly found in tanks of large fish. We're going to do something similar, but not the same. We're going to start not with dirt. We don't need dirt. We are going to start with 4 inches of sand. 4 inches of sand on the bottom of that 125. And then we want to locate, you want to locate about a dozen or more, but at least a dozen large rocks. That's half a football to a football. That range. You want 2 layers of them on top of that sand. Now, don't worry about the weight. The tank will be able to carry the weight. It really won't be a problem. The sand is going to spread out the pressure, so those rocks are not going to be putting pressure on the glass at points. Put a layer down, then put another layer on top of it. Big on big, big on little, doesn't matter. You want it with enough gaps that the fish are going to be able to swim down and through it. Now that's going to wind up being almost a foot tall. So we're at 16 inches in a 24-inch tank. Above that is open water. Open water, okay? That's the basic structure. Now, the real secret to keeping African cichlids is understanding what these fish living in Malawi and Victoria eat. Their predominant food is algae. They are made such that their teeth are designed specifically to scrape algae off of rocks. So what you want to do is get algae growing on your rocks. How do you do that? Lots of light. You can put some liquid fertilizer in there if you want to. You don't need to. And frankly, I don't recommend it. If you'll do this though, 16 hours of light a day, lots of light, pretty strong light, until you begin to get some algae growing. Now, if algae is growing on the glass, keep the front clean, let it grow on the sides and the back. That is their food. It's their primary food. Let them have it. You're creating it for them. It is their natural food. They will eat it. So, once that gets going, then you need to provide a secondary food. You see, in the lakes, there are two sources of food, other than each other, that is. Algae is one, the other is insects. Vast swarms of insects fly out over the lakes. These are massive lakes. The bugs can't get to the other side. It's too far. They get out and they begin falling into the water. It becomes a secondary food source and a very important one for these Malawi and Victorian cichlids. So you want to provide insects for them. You can feed crickets, you can feed superworms, feed bug bites and algae. If you do not have algae until you get it going, feed sheets of algae. You can buy it in an Oriental grocery store. Anyway, feed them algae. You get it growing on the rocks and then feed bugs. That's the natural food for these fish. Now, how many should you have? Well, you want enough that they all can have a little place to hide. And by building your tank this way, they will. They'll be up swimming around when everything is normal and happy. And when they're spawning, when they're being aggressive, when a big predator like a hawk comes over, flying over your tank, they'll dart down in the rocks. So the rocks are protection. The rocks are security. The rocks are also nesting homes. Try those two systems for large fish and see if it doesn't dramatically improve your understanding of the fish and your enjoyment of them. Take care for now. Don't forget to find us on our Discord channel and check out father.fish for all kinds of plants and mud and dirt and gook and gunk and whatever else. Whatever else we got over there. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for listening to the very, very, very end to hear me say, love you all. Bye for now.